I will be talking to you regarding selection processes and the relevance of group discussions during the selection. A few words about the selection process or the screening processes. Actually, what has happened is as of today there are far too many applicants against a specified number of vacancies, and resultantly it may be anybody, whether it is the government sector, whether it is the private sector or it is the educational institutions. They have to resort to some kind of screening to weed out the unwanted candidates and to avoid crowding at the final personal interviews. In that, it could be asking for individuals' resumes, conducting group discussions, and finally the personal interviews. Here the relevance of group discussions plays an important part, as I have told you earlier, because in comparison to group discussions and any other process of selection or screening, no other test or task comes so handy. At one time you could judge 8 to 10 candidates, and that too you can draw comparisons from a candidate to the other candidates. That is why group discussions in fact are the most popular instrument of screening which is being used by all agencies, whether government, private or the educational institutions. The next step that we need to learn is what exactly are group discussions. The best way to do is firstly to understand, know the mechanics of group discussions, and secondly to go through a live demonstration as to how a group discussion is conducted. As far as learning as to what group discussions are, group discussion, as the name implies, has to be a number of people sitting together and discussing. Obviously, if the group is less than 5 or 6, it is not a viable group, and naturally they won't find the topic to be discussed properly, nor the assessors will get to know the characteristics that they are looking for. So, there need to be at least about minimum of 8 members and a maximum of 10 to fulfill both the jobs, that is of the assessor or the examiner and as also of the group. This group is given a topic of interest. It ought to be controversial to generate a discussion, and thereafter they continue this discussion for about 20 to 25 minutes, after which once the examiner or the assessor is satisfied, it terminates the discussion. In this group test, actually no moderator or no leader is nominated, a president or a chairman, and that is the beauty of this test, where the self-emerging traits or qualities of a natural leader, they are thrown up and he is accepted, admired and tolerated by the rest of the members of the group. How this task or test is conducted, that is group discussions. Initially the group is made to sit in a circular fashion facing each other. Each of the candidate is given a chest number or roll number from 1 to 8 or 1 to 10, and they address each other with these numbers. The examiner or the assessor gives the topic for discussion, and after having explained the rules of group discussion, he withdraws, either sits next to the group or withdraws behind a screen from where he can watch and listen to the group. Thereafter, the candidates, they discuss the topic thoroughly, and after about 25 minutes or half an hour, the discussion is terminated. Few other things that are observed during the conduct of the discussion and rules which would have already been cleared or clarified by the moderator or the examiner are: generally group discussions take place in English until unless otherwise specified. There is no particular sequence that is required to be followed by the candidates, that chest number 1 has to speak first or chest number 10 has to speak first. Anyone can speak at any point of time and you can speak what you like. That is the freedom accorded during the group discussion to elicit free responses, and these free responses actually give you the traits of personality of all these people. This is how generally a group discussion is conducted. Now, how is the assessment? What are the assessment parameters to see the performance of individuals in a group discussion? Few essential things that are seen are, firstly, who has been able to adjust at the earliest possible and adjust well in a new group of people. Secondly, who enters the discussion or who initiates the discussion at the earliest possible, and the quantum of participation, how much each particular candidate has participated. The next factor that is seen is the kind of ideas and the knowledge that each candidate exhibits, the kind of logic that they offer to support their arguments, their power of expression, which includes the words, the voice and the body language that each one of them exhibits. With all these factors also is seen the tolerance level of each candidate, how is he receptive to the ideas of others, and how does he resolve in case there are arguments, how does he coordinate, because only when you coordinate along with your considerable participation, you come out as a natural leader who is accepted and admired by everybody else. Group discussions actually are helpful not only to various departments, the government and the private and the educational institutions, but they help the individuals as well. How? Firstly, when you participate in group discussions, it is a rehearsal for you, it is a practice session for you. You improve your communication skills, you improve your knowledge, you gain so much of knowledge what the other candidates are talking. In fact, you in turn become an eloquent speaker, which is a prerequisite to become a good person or a person with lovable personality. You even amongst your group of friends or at home or even in your institution in case you are a student, you do well during discussions because you have practiced well. Lastly, the last aspect that I would like to tell you regarding group discussion is then how do you go about performing your best during group discussions? Well, the few advice that I would like to offer you is please be calm and cool when you sit down for a discussion and sit down with an open mind. Try and enter the discussion or try and initiate the discussion or enter at the earliest possible. Put in your best. Try and offer as much as logic along with the points that you are making. Be receptive to other candidates of the group. There is no requirement to start shouting or to pass on harsh words to other members of the group. In fact, you should be friendly, giving out a pleasant environment, because only then will you be acceptable as a leader. You should not try and be a bully. Despite the fact that you know far more than the other candidates, you should be having a helping attitude to the weaklings in the group. They need to be encouraged to participate. That is when you will be able to do well in a group discussion and you will be able to derive the maximum benefit from a group discussion. This was the first stage to introduce you to what group discussions are and how you need to perform your best. Naturally, the next stage, which I told you earlier, would be a live recording of a group discussion, during which you can, for yourself, you can see as to how each candidate is performing, what they ought not to have done and what they ought to have done. Thank you.